The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. It's brought to you with Levi Solicitors. 10% off your legal fees. levisolicitors.co.uk/the Square Ball. Dan, Michael and Moscow. And we are doing Heroes and Villains in part 3. Right. Ken Bates Villain of the Week award. You split this into 2 bits then, kind of.
Yeah, before when we've had 2 games in a week, I've kind of blended them, but it feels like 2 very distinct games here.
Yeah.
So I feel they can be dealt with as in batches, because
right.
There's
a lot of information on this sheet. So
I feel like the Villa game is more or less gone.
Right, but
like still in everyone's mind.
It still counts.
But we can still chip away at some.
Let's rattle through them then. Let's go quick. And we have to say thanks to our TSB Plus members as well, who've given us their nominations to go along with our own. So here we go. Right. So whoscored.com, let's start with them. They do deserve a bit of shit. I mean, if you are a long-time listener, we used to always describe them as internet charlatans for making shit up. And this is finally proof that is the case, because they put Adam Forshaw in their worst 11 of the season. And this was then parroted by a load of other sites who were looking for cheap clickbait stories when there were no games.
They still remain, I think, the statistically most advanced model that football has to offer. Whoscored.com. They also gave Tyrone Mings, after our game against them, I think was declared pretty much the best player on the pitch by Whoscored.com's model, giving him the correct praise for his 3 assists to Leeds United. So don't besmirch Whoscored.com. I've long held that there's a reason why we rely on their pre-match modelling to guide our discussion of the games. What did we have for the Scum preview? We had analysis from whoscored.com.
Oh, great.
So we use them every time, and I trust them. If they say Adam Forshaw's been one of the worst 11 players this season, I'm not here to doubt them.
Right, let's read the quote then that was put out by Football 365. They said, having spent the vast majority of the last 2 seasons out through injury, Forshaw's performances in the Premier League this term were enough to persuade Leeds to offer him a 2-year extension. It's not entirely clear why. It is. It really, really is, because he's come in and he's been excellent, so fuck off. Right.
Yes. They also then tried to just say it was just some... I mean, people sometimes wonder why I take against the word content, and Football 365's justification for putting that out, where they basically said, well, it's a slow week, it's just some content.
Yeah.
That's why.
Some lies.
Yeah, they just put it out and didn't
traffic
care
to
about
chase,
it.
yeah. Lazy.
Mm-hmm. Have some pride in yourselves.
Right. Villa got some nominations as a concept, just for being a bit...
The cheating, mainly.
Twisty, yeah.
Not putting the ball out. Also, Buendia got several nominations for channeling the spirit of Dean Smith, Fergus.
Yeah, bell end, cheating little fanny, so we've covered off both bases there.
And then he scored for Newcastle at the weekend as well. That's the other unhelpful part of Aston Villa this week, is that they went to Newcastle and lost.
Did you see what happened after he did that? He was part of the wall, wasn't he? He was like a second wall who then deflected it in, and as soon as the ball hits him, Tyrone Mings just shoves him
right over,
because he's a lunatic who can't control his body. He just instinctively goes, oh, just shoves him.
What'd you do that for?
Basically, yeah. I was really amused by that. If you've not seen it, just watch it. He's just really cross with him, so he just shoves him.
What did they pay for Buendia? It was like 35-40 million, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. He's at best a 20 million footballer. You know, like people complain we've overpaid for Dan James. I always quite fancied Buendia, and I thought, oh well, if we could get him for under 20 million, then he'd be worth it.
Look good at Norwich.
Yeah.
In the Championship.
Coutinho does get mentioned for being too good at Villa, actually. Like some sort of cheat mode.
And again, no good against Newcastle.
Yeah.
There's about 5 good minutes when they exploited Trippier going off for a while before Newcastle went 5 at the back. Coutinho looked good, and then the rest of the time anonymous. Another Leeds-hating bastard.
Some other Villa nominations. Philip had a few, actually. McGinn, face, concert, elbow. Martinez, sore thigh, hurt by the grass. Then Ken has gone for the combined Aston Villa synchronised diving team and drama club, and the Murfield Rover as well. Tyrone Mings for whatever his performance art is that it was that he did in that game. He is spectacular as an individual. Yes, right. Who else?
Well, there are a few sort of vaguely Rafinha-related things.
It's not really him, it's his betrothed, isn't it?
Yeah, Boniem nominates marriage. I don't want this to become a theme of my Villa nominations, but it's clearly had an effect on Rafa, and that's after only 1 day of nagging.
Come on. We're more enlightened times now, Boniem. That's not good.
Jack Harrison's accent, which is a good name because it is a weird thing. Says weddings, ban weddings in the season, destroyed Rafinha in the last 2 games. In fact, ban anything in the season that doesn't involve football. So no weddings, no engagements, and no having children. From a twisted Naka and Nketiah to Harrison's Miss Columbia, Rafinha's wedding, Bamford and James' newborns. It doesn't help. All that crap should be done from should be done from June to the end of July. Just ban women. It's their fault. Ban Valentine's Day as well.
Okay, wow.
So our squad need to live like monks, basically.
Yeah. And sorry to our female listeners as well. Because these don't represent our views. They're the views of our other terrible listeners.
I think he spiralled. Jack Harrison's accent there.
Got carried away by the end.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, a few other Jack, Kit, and they're all called Jack. All these people, another 3 Jacks, all nominating. They might be one guy filling out the form several times, but essentially all saying
jet lag.
Various Rafinha excuses.
Neymar got some stick as well from other Jack. Yeah, okay. This is good. Joe, we've moved on to Joe's from Jack's. Bedwetting Leeds fans.
This was post Villa.
Yeah.
Saying,
so
we should enjoy this for at least a couple of days till we have to play Everton.
Time makes fool of us all, doesn't it? Yeah. Kurt Zouma, we forgot to touch on any of that for his cat kicking antics. So you can have a nomination.
Yeah, not really related to us, but yeah.
No, not necessarily made us miserable over the last week, but still.
It wasn't nice though, was it?
No.
It was miserable in the sense that just something that you didn't need happening in the Premier League. I remember seeing that come on the news that, Kurt Zouma filmed kicking a cat off, for God's sake. Why? Just don't kick a cat, don't film it, don't do any of this.
If you don't like cats, don't buy one.
Yeah.
Well, exactly.
That's really simple. I'm not a cat man, I have to say. I won't kick one, and I certainly won't buy one and then kick it.
No.
Because what would be the point?
And have a child hold it up while you punch it.
Strange way to behave.
And then let's nominate Moyes as well. Just don't pick him for a game.
Yeah.
Like, it just needed a punishment, didn't it? And then all of this would have been done. But just...
They did punish him, but financially. But the problem is that it came after the event, didn't it?
And they did that after he played, yeah. And it would have been so easy. And I wrote it on the blog at one point. If he was playing... If on the morning I was looking at a video of Michael belting a cat around and we were recording...
Which happens all the time, we should say.
And we were recording a podcast at lunchtime, I'd maybe say, don't come in. Like, go and just stay away until we've discussed what this cat business is all about, and we'll have somebody else can do it. And if we had, David Moyes has got a squad of 20 at minimum. So he's got plenty of other people who he can play.
You hate animals, don't you?
One of them's that Diop guy that played against us, and we saw how bad he was.
Well, that's their problem for not having enough. I mean,
that's more or less what Moyes said, though, wasn't it? It was like, he's one of my best players.
Absolutely. And then
What am I supposed to do here?
And then he says, you won't get a more disciplinarian manager in the Premier League than me. Clearly we would, because anybody else would have just said, right, you're not playing tonight because I've just been watching you. Even just bringing the club into disrepute is a good enough reason to say you're out of it for a day or two.
Michael, you've strangled a pigeon. You can't come on the podcast this week.
Well, pigeons. Rats, aren't they, more or less?
Well, this is your exact attitude towards animals. Stephen Gerrard gets nominations for being nice about us as well. And Dan James nominated for refusing to go off. I mean, this feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
For possibly being a prick.
This has been turned into an urban myth. I don't think he did. I think he was just chuntering to himself after it was mooted that he might have to go off because he picked up a bit of a knock and or a yellow card, and he was like, nah, fuck off, I'm not going off.
Yeah, and it was pretty... There was the shot of Bielsa afterwards as well, where he looks at him and gives him 2 thumbs up, like, you okay? And that was all it was. Are you okay to carry on? It's like, yeah, of course I am.
Yeah, and then he was just going to take me off, muttering to himself as you would, because you would not cross Bielsa. Post Everton, let's do the villains from that. Coutinho gets another one.
This time for making us have to run more and then being tired.
Right.
Which is, fair enough, I suppose.
I wish this microphone was a penis. I think somebody's done that to make us say it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, that's the name of the person who's sent this in. Wants to nominate Angus Kinnear for gaslighting about the pathway for youth players. That's not what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is where you make somebody feel like they're going insane, isn't it? So you might, for example...
Well, I think
that's his point.
He's telling us that... Yeah, it's
not gaslighting.
It's all about the pathway.
Are you gaslighting us to say that this isn't gaslighting?
I think he's gaslighting.
No, he's not. It's not. He'd be saying, well, it's all about the pathway for the young players. What are you talking about? You're all wrong. You're right. It's not. It's an explanation, isn't it? Gaslighting is where you make people think they're going mad.
Yeah. So Angus Kinnear keeps saying that there is a pathway for young players, and I wish this microphone, one I'm pointing out, was a penis.
Yeah.
He's pointing out that in his view there is not a pathway for youth players. So Angus Kinnear...
Those are about opinions. It's about opinions about the implementation.
Well, he's accusing Angus Kinnear of making us, of trying to make us all feel mad by telling us that your team is full of youth players, and we look at it and, Tyler Roberts is technically 23. So it's that's the thing. I don't necessarily agree. I mean, I was talking about the youth players and how they used the other week, that they are nearer the first team squad than they are at other clubs, and so them coming on as every. So Leo Helder is not going to take over as first choice left back, but when Stuart Dallas can't play and Firpo isn't there, he will come on and play and then get mortally wounded before 90 minutes is up. So,
although what I wish this microphone was a penis does say is all of it can fuck off.
Yeah, I think
he
or she is correctly angry.
Captures the mood.
I mean, the youth pathway is interesting because we do seem to only use them when we absolutely have to, which is not the same as a pathway necessarily. It's not introducing people gradually into the team. It's basically Meslier plays all the time, and then the rest of them.
Yeah, I do think it's a poor excuse for not signing players when we quite clearly, demonstrably need them.
Those are two kind of separate things. It's like, would we have benefited from some more better players? Yes, but do we also want to? Is the pathway there for young players? And it's kind of, I mean, it's always been the way with young players is they have to wait for an opportunity, which is basically you wait for a player to be injured and then you go in and that's your chance. Because Somerville is kind of the arch situation of, if he wants to be playing every week, then we have to drop Rafinha, and we're not going to do that. Whereas if Rafinha had got injured, we know that Somerville then gets bumped up the queue, so he's much nearer the team than he is at the moment. But if Rafinha just stays being fit for every game until he leaves, then tough. It's a break that you don't get as a young player. A lot of it is luck when you were a youngster, and then the Gelhardt thing has obviously been done to death. But I suppose there's an interesting, when you rule out the reasons why Bielsa might be not picking him, it can't be that he hates him. He can't be doing it to wind up Leeds fans. There's got to be something. And the question I guess that you want the answer to is, what is it in training that Gelhardt's not doing that you want to see? And he mentioned that with Ryan Edmondson once, where he's like, just before he got injured, I saw in a training session everything I wanted to see and was about to go in. So I don't know if that question was put to him that way, if he might say, well, in training he's not doing X or Y, and that means I play Roberts instead. But trying to get down to what that's actually about.
It's unknowable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about Frank Lampard instead. Loads of nominations for him for reasons that will be obvious. There's lots of swear words here, lots of shade thrown. Best, I think, possibly summed up by what Jelly said, which is, I hope he takes his team on a mini training camp to Ibiza to celebrate this monumental victory and burns his gigantic helipad-sized bald spot.
Yeah, that's
fair enough.
Fair enough. There's a bit of some flights of fancy gone in here. Scrooge McHutch as well has said, I wish John Terry had the minerals to shag your wife instead of Wayne Bridges. Never minded Everton as a club, but now you've ruined that and all. So he's basically wanting a time travelling John Terry to have sex with I think John Terry, Christine Lampard.
I think John Terry
Lampard.
He probably considers himself capable of time travel.
Quite possibly. Well, he's got the
through the metaverse.
Yeah, exactly.
Lampard's the TV's Lampard Obsession also gets nominations as well, as you were pointing out. Moscow on the match ball, 2 minute reaction shots of him, media darling, don't like it.
And he was laughing as well. I don't like him laughing, even if we've seen Bielsa on the right side of some big wins with us. You never see him chuckling on the side, do you?
You never see him getting joy from anything, do you?
Bielsa gets nominations here, and this is what's this is done reluctantly. Like Joe says, Bielsa, unfortunately. Kevin says, just fucking play a midfield, please. Wisconsin Todd saying, feels dirty even writing it, but he's got to wear this one.
Which we all said.
Yeah,
it was on him. The team selection didn't work.
Yeah, and Kit's saying it's all on him this week. I've never nominated him before. However, I wouldn't want anyone else as our manager. That's the weird kind of paradox that we're in at the minute, isn't it? Is that we're dissatisfied with some of the things that he's doing, but dear God, we all love him.
And like Peter trying desperately to not blame Bielsa, not nominates Bielsa's optician for potentially not giving him the right equipment to make the right decisions.
Bad workman blaming his tools and all that.
I like the Tom Cuz nomination for Helder Costa. All gone downhill since he left.
Yeah.
Fair point. Yeah. It was good last season, wasn't it?
Leeds United as a whole, fair enough, understandably so, just for ruining weekends. Click gets a nomination for his lack of presence in midfield. The crossbar Was it the angle?
Yeah, whatever it was. If the net was bigger, wouldn't be an issue, would it? Which we, on our extra ball rule changes one, we did make the nets bigger, didn't we?
If it was proportional to Jordan Pickford's height, then there would have been 2 clear goals, very easy.
we got into the realms of adjustable nets that were adjusted per goalkeeper, so the net had to be a height as a proportion.
He's one of the smaller ones, actually, isn't he, Pickford? But he's still probably bigger than
he needed a couple of inches.
But he's got no reach with his arms, has he?
Yeah, he's bigger than a Victorian, though, which is what the goal sizes were made on.
Humankind has grown since Victorian times, so maybe the goals need to be enlarged. I mean, John, did you see, by the way, there's a news report this morning, Tuesday morning, of Pickford getting into a brawl over, do you see at Newcastle, there was the T-Rex person dressed as a T-Rex in the stand behind him, just sat there in a full costume, because he's supposed to have the little flappy arms, and so they were mocking him all throughout that. Pickford is from Sunderland, so obviously Newcastle.
Was it Tino Asprilla? Because he's got a T-Rex outfit.
I don't know.
He was riding. Was Tino Asprilla riding a horse dressed as a T-Rex once?
Quite possibly. Fever dream?
Possibly.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. But anyway, so there's obviously he'll have gone out on the.
Did he get into a fight with them?
Apparently so. Yeah. Throwing punches like Scrappy do, maybe. But anyway, different story, different day. Moscow, you've got some attacks here. People not liking you for Angus Kinnear shill. Stand up for yourself.
Constant happy clapping.
Yep.
I actually. And there was a lot on there. I made the mistake of looking at the YouTube comments as well. I actually listened back to the match ball this morning on the way in, and I don't know what I said that was happy. I think I said that I liked Matches Clicks glasses. That was positive. I directed us to aggregate to get out of talking about the game.
Yep.
And then I sort of disputed with you that we can never win with 3 at the back because, as we've talked about on the propaganda, it's amazing that we win 75% of the games playing that way. And then I also said that Everton played really well and we played really badly, and they're 2 sides of the same thing. So if that's me being too happy clappy for people,
I think you're not you don't kind of like getting involved in the bloodletting, I think, is after these things. Whereas
I'm quite happy to concede I'm a reactionary arsehole when it comes to football.
Yeah.
I'm a child.
I think so as well. What I will say in your defence of that is Moscow, is that as people might think, if they're saying you're an Angus Kinnear shill, because I think people think because you've got like a seat in the Gantry West Stand, you're in some way.
Oh, hang on. Gantry.
So you're in some way like, you have to have certain opinions. Your shit opinions are all your own. I know. Yes. I know this to be a fact because you very much have them off air.
Yeah, it might just be. It's just me.
I think honestly, you're actually just more philosophical about it. Like when I get away from football and when I go and think about it, I think, what are you doing? Why are you getting so angry at what they're doing? Why do you feel so miserable? And that's why I went away. And as I said on propaganda, went and broke it down about what I'm actually here for. What am I trying to get out of watching football? And I just think you're more philosophical and you can see big picture. Whereas when it comes to the match ball, it is all about reacting to what you've just seen in the last couple of hours. But you tend to be able to focus on the fact that we'll probably be all right this season. And I know deep down we probably will because the teams below us are terrible. But I don't know.
It's quite a detached feeling. It's sort of like for the same reasons that I didn't go on the promotion live stream, was because I looked at that and it was full of loads of like shirtless, happy people screaming with their joy. And there was just absolutely no way I was going to be able to do any of that. So I was like sat in bed with a beer and watched it because I would have brought the mood down, and I think I'd sort of bring the mood down as well when everything's bad, because I can't do that either, so maybe I should just fuck off. Probably the easiest thing to do, like if I'm not even, if I'm not actually saying anything that's happy, but it must just be in my face.
But even when I do disagree with you and I almost want you to indulge in the ups and downs of it, I also know that you're right. On the one hand, you're right.
Let's not go that far. I mean,
I don't mean like you're not always going to be 100% correct, but I mean, I know it's right to be more philosophical about it, but I can't do it, not when the game's on, not when they put me through the ringer. And as I said over on propaganda, this is my joy, this is my escapism, and obviously our livelihoods are attached to it now, so it kind of almost doubles down in terms of significance, and it pisses me off when my joy is drained by these fuckers.
Moscow's obviously got his $5,000 a month from Angus Kinnear that comes in. Yeah, so that kind of supplements his income. He's
obviously delighted with how positive I was being after the Everton game. Him and Radrizzani were like, yeah, those are definitely the messages we want the fans to hear. That.
How are your Socios tokens getting on, by the way?
Well, he just keeps pumping them my way. since
I thought it was cash out of the tills in the shop, isn't it? Because it just pops out of the West Stand, goes in there, fills an envelope, brings it round.
Anything I can get for my conformative, is that a word?
Yep.
Conforming opinions, I'm out for it, as long as it specifically if it comes out of the pockets of real fans.
Yes, fine. I mean, Christ, if somebody was having a go at me over on propaganda because we ended up talking about aggregates, then ended up talking about the fact that I'm putting down artificial turf for killing bees. I was like, what are the bees going to do on your little plastic lawn? It's like, it was mud before because we've got. Do you know why? Because about 3 metres away, we've got loads of fucking big trees that mean I never get any sunlight.
Which you also hate.
Well, yeah, I do. Well, they've all got tree protection orders on them, so I'm trying to poison them.
You put copper nails into all of those trees. You want to put a car park there, right?
Isn't that how you get rid of trees? Copper nails?
Yeah, it kills them.
Oh, really? Because I could do with some light towards the back, so I could actually grow some grass.
I think Bielsa's probably got some spare from knocking him all into the trees at Thorpe Arch that he doesn't like, that the club are not allowed to remove.
Yeah, because what I mean, I know bees famously love swampy mud, which is all I had in my garden before, because there's no sunlight round the back. So it was either mud or artificial grass. They've got all the trees at the back. How many trees do you need, bees?
It was getting away from the natural world was your whole reason for moving to Bradford in the first place. If you want to live somewhere nice.
You say that. My the vent from my, the cooker hood that pumps the air outside, fucking wasps nest in that last year.
You see, you support nature.
I do.
You welcome those wasps.
I did, and you know what? I did actually leave them.
You welcome them to a point until you sprayed Raid all over them.
That is true. But I got stung a few times, so I got fed up with being stung. So I let them have a nice time in my vent for a while. Went in there and fucked them.
Anyway, we'll move this conversation forward again once your aggregate sponsorship becomes public knowledge.
I was going to say, somebody did reach out to me and said, hey, listen, we do aggregate. Give us a ring, yeah. Turns out it's the same cost as, sadly. I mean,
were they not offering you any cheap?
I haven't actually rung them up to get, it was kind of, if you speak to so-and-so in the office and say you mention me.
Do you know who I am?
They might say, if you say that, like Brian told you to ring up, they might give you a discount, but I feel cheeky doing that. So I don't mind paying for it. And actually with the delivery charge, it worked out.
It's a bit showbiz, isn't it? Trying to get cheap aggregate.
I know. It's only like 40 quid a ton, so it's fine. I'll just buy it.
It's fine, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway,
Mike's son.
But if you do know somebody who's got any type 1 aggregate and so on.
Yeah, Mike's son was nominated by Mike. He says, my newborn son bought him a little kit and everything, sat through that and feel like throwing it in the bin. The kit, not my son. Think the might not be best pleased if the son went in the bin. To be fair, he was sick at full time. But even so, I'm now looking at him as a jinx.
There's been a little thread running through this show of misogyny and hatred of women and families, which is not what we're here for.
It is difficult to have a family though after a game like the Everton one, because I did go home and basically just want to be left alone, and also for the day after ideally, and instead you're going to like just got to do stuff, haven't you, and chat to people like you're a normal human being again, and you're just like, it's just fucking
look on your family, your adoring wife and your 2 beautiful children as a blessing for the way that they can bring you out of these despairing moments and make you feel happy and see meaning and purpose in the world again.
I mean,
those 2 little darlings.
The thing is,
I'm going to need a bigger bin.
It was Valentine's Day on Monday as well, wasn't it? So you got in that situation. When you're in a long-term relationship, it's you kind of just tick a box, don't you? And you get the card, you send it to each other. Did you not no card? That poor woman.
We agreed no card.
Oh yeah, but that's bad.
It's not. It's a fucking made-up day. It's a stupid thing.
Yeah, but it's still nice, isn't it? Just to show a bit of appreciation.
Well, you do it on another day. Don't do it on Valentine's Day. Yeah. Michael is always surprised.
I was going to say, I was on Sunday.
I'm nice all the time.
On Sunday night when I was trying to write mine, I was like, well, I'm bereft. I've got
not like you. You're a fucking monster. 300. Well, you give me your birthday and Valentine's Day off. You're horrible the rest of the time, I reckon.
Thanks for saying
based
those
upon nothing.
Thanks for saying those last 2 words. All right, quickly, let's get through this.
Speaking of children as well,
say, we've run long here, so let's rattle through these.
Anthony Gordon, Aaron nominates him for, it looks like his parents might be related, the inbred prick, which is fair enough. Moscow did describe him as looking very scouse.
Yeah, you'd pick him out a mile off, wouldn't you? It's from Liverpool.
Great.
With obviously Joffy, McGurk, Forshaw, Dean, you're all fine, no problems. You blend into wider society quite well,
right? Who?
But your brother Gordon, however,
who's your villain of the week? Is it Frank Lampard?
Yeah, can we please? Because that was the worst thing of it, wasn't it?
He didn't even do anything.
Some little bastard.
He didn't even do anything that bad, did he? But
He was chuckling. He was laughing. Don't laugh on the sidelines. I don't know who else does that. You don't. Even Pep Guardiola doesn't sit there and giggle, does he, when he's winning a game? And Klopp is obviously he's trying to just frighten somebody. But you don't. Nobody else. Sean Dyche isn't there going, and that's the worst part. And it's that horrible. His little chuckle as well. I just hate a chuckle coming out of him.
Right, great.
fair enough.
Yeah, good.
Give it to Lampard.
Yeah, fine. All right, the Gaetano Berardi Hero of the Week award. I feel like this could be a bit two-tone.
Gaetano played almost a full 90, actually, this week. I looked him up. He played 8. It came off in the 88th minute. So it's good to see him starting games again.
Did you check the result?
They lost.
Look.
Rafinha got a couple of post-Villa nominations for Hero of the Week. We should say got a mention for Villain of the Week as well for already packing his bags. Suggested Roger. But he did say not a villain, but that's still coming under the villain section.
I would like to know what he was thinking, sat on that bench, looking at the pictures, going,
"Why am I here?
What? How has this happened?"
He gets a couple of Hero nominations. For the post Villa, these aren't they? Dan James obviously gets loads for his goals and his work rate. Everyone loving.
Yeah, Dan James
bastard.
He got so many, and everyone calling him a little scum bastard, which is delightful. Obviously, has to be that little scum bastard. Played pretty well, the little scum paper boy. Dan James, the little scum rat, was excellent and never stopped running.
Oh God! Right. Let's go on to the nominations. Bielsa got a Hero nomination for the system works. Says the system works. We just need. And to be fair, there is truth in here in that we just need a world-class central defensive midfielder fit, i.e. Calvin Phillips. Yes, hard to argue with that, but still. Joe says, shame on all the doubters. The tune he's getting out of this very injury-ravaged squad is amazing. That's not aged well, has it? That's aged like milk.
Yeah.
Rodrigo.
Well, then, I'm going to pause and just go, what other club is losing Stuart Dallas after 5 minutes in that game? And then his replacement...
Well, nobody else flogs their players to death.
And then his replacement crawling off the pitch at the end in pieces as well. It's just... maybe he is flogging them too hard, but at the same time, what the hell? It surely can't be that bad.
Right, Rodrigo gets nominations for being brilliant at Villa, for being involved in all the goals.
Involved in Everton's goal as well, wasn't he?
Was he? I can't remember. Yeah,
walking off when Van der Beek was
Tyrone Mings. We laughed a lot on Mings for his contribution to this. He gets some Hero nominations for whatever it is that he's trying to do.
Scrooge McHutch says for giving me inspiration that he can still be a Premier League and international footballer, which is nice. Very odd.
Yeah,
good assists.
He does say what is proof that you can be whatever you want when you grow up. And Scrooge McHutch is 30.
I'm just looking up his
time yet.
Yeah, he got WhoScored.com gave him 7.7.
What? That's really high.
Diego Llorente got 6.5. Struijk got 6.7.
What did Meslier get? Because
Meslier got 6.4. Rafinha. Well, yeah, Rafinha was no good.
Are these the Villa rankings?
So, the game against Villa. So Rodrigo was probably our best player against Villa, wasn't he? He got 7.1. Dan James got the highest rating because he got the 2 goals, 8.6. But yeah, Mings. Coutinho got 9, but only Coutinho, Ramsey with 7.8 were the only 2 players from Villa that scored better than Mings. So, who am I to doubt?
It's not what the eyes were telling me.
Who am I to doubt the analytical model that informs the statistical engine behind WhoScored.com? We've just got to accept Tyrone Mings Player of the Week.
Struijk got a nomination from Stanos for being a brilliant talent who's never faced by anybody. Michael, this feels a little bit egotistical because you do put this sheet together. It was
submitted. I'm going to put it on.
And Tom suggests you should be nominated for having to listen to Brummies and Scousers this week.
And one who was a Brummie Scouser.
Yeah,
as it turned out.
But no, you're not having it. So let's go post Everton. Nobody. Yeah. Yorkie Dave quotes the Stranglers and says no more heroes anymore. No says, I wish this microphone was a penis. Jelly says, no, I really don't. No, nobody wants to nominate a hero. So we could probably close it there.
Rodrigo got a few.
Yeah.
He was basically the only person who really got any after that shit show.
Well, as Cornish Mike said, he won the crossbar challenge not once but twice. Dan James for having lots of energy, says Simo. Meslier for the save. Philip picks him out. My aggregate got a couple of nominations, which is more than Dan James got.
Meslier is a good shout. 6 goals conceded, and yet still probably play brilliantly in both. And again,
well, he's off to Barcelona, isn't he? So who cares?
They can't afford him. The save from Rondon, whoever it was, the guy at the end, was stupendous. And I was trying to think. I know I'm against wishing the season away, but I started thinking, who is player of the season? I don't know if we give it to the goalkeeper, who's on course to concede more goals than probably any other team in the Premier League. There's only Norwich who've conceded more goals than us. Yeah, well. It's hilarious. I love this. Part of me is kind of, I know I'm going off topic here, but loving the fact that we have conceded, where's our goals against? So we've conceded 46 and Burnley have conceded merely 29, and yet we're way above Burnley in the table and they've only won one game. It's funny, isn't it? I just love imagining Sean Dyche looking at that statistic. They can't even fucking defend. And we can't.
It doesn't sound like that.
How would he sound?
They can't even fucking defend.
And yet we'll be staying up and Burnley going down.
Drawing every game, as they seem to be determined to do.
Apart from the ones they lose.
All right, let's move it forward. Yelder gets a nomination for coming into a tough game, and he's obviously now broken. David Bowie. Are we going Bowie or Bowie?
David.
Mm-hmm. Ziggy. He's getting a nomination from Wisconsin Todd for writing perfect lyrics to summarise the game. All the nightmares came today, and it looks as though they're here to stay. Great. Moscow, you get a nomination. No. Pew in midfield is suggesting you've got a measured summary of the squad in general and the game. Blah 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 blah. Not interested. Rob coming in from the under-29s. He gets a nomination from Jack Harrison's accent.
I put your nominations on there too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a nomination for not backing down against Moscow. I think that's definitely worthy of some consideration this week. 3 p.m. kickoffs, yeah, bollocks. Not into them. Idiot bitch, the voice we had on last week's propaganda, the Man United fan, and he's on this week as well. If you haven't heard that one yet, go back and listen. Not doing an idiot bitch this week, but still good fun. And finally, Mason Holgate. It does look like Jermaine Beckford's illegitimate son. Actually, there's a real
there's a close resemblance.
When he turns in profile, he doesn't he? Yeah, he was.
He doesn't quite add up. I know he was at Everton, but I don't think
the sums add up.
I don't think the dates add up for Jermaine. For his brief stay in Merseyside, he'd probably still in his RAC days. Maybe he was doing a call out in Liverpool at some stage,
repairing a car on the M62.
Actually, where's Mason Holgate from? He's probably not even from Liverpool, is he? But wherever he was, I think Jermaine should have to account for this.
He's from Doncaster.
Oh.
That changes things, doesn't it? So Doncaster 25 years ago.
Although born in 1996. It seems.
How old was Jermaine Beckford in 1996? Let's find out, because if we're going to accuse him of something, we need to get the facts right. So 1996 minus 1983, with 13. With 13-year-old Jermaine Beckford.
Feels like a big ask, but
maybe Jermaine has a big brother who could be, I suppose he can't be called, maybe his name is Holgate, I don't know. Maybe it's actually, there's a longer relation. Maybe it's another Beckford.
I feel like you're digging yourself into a hole. So let's get out of that hole and just pick a hero of the week.
Jermaine is innocent.
Yeah, I think legally we should say Jermaine is innocent. Fine, come on. Let's pick one. Who is it? Nobody. Dan James.
Melier.
Dan James got us a point this week, didn't he? I suppose.
And he did have the kind of proving the doubters wrong. He can play at centre forward.
And then proving the doubters right. Not long afterwards. But yeah.
He wasn't terrible against Everton, was he? He was fine.
I like the fact that he looks confused with everything. He looks, after something's happened on the pitch that he's been involved in, he always looks like he's sort of tuned himself up inside somehow.
I mean, the substitution thing kind of summed him up, where he's just walking around going, fucking hell, I don't know what he's on about. Big idiot.
Is it Dan James?
Yeah, go on. In the week of scum, let's give it to a scummer.
Give him some something to boost the little scum bastard before we play the big scum bastards.
Right, there we go. Well, it was a difficult week. Some difficult shows were promised this week, weren't they?
Wait until next week
when we set about this.
It's going to be great.
Well, that leads me on to my next thought, is that hopefully it's a bit better next week, but no promises.
You'll find the square ball all accounts have been deleted this time next week. No trace left.
Just go live on a remote Scottish island or something with no internet and no car access. But we'll get through it. We'll stick together. We'll be all right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll speak to you next week.
The Square Ball Podcast.